welcome to the show with no camera and even less quality content.
Oh.
I am here with my friend Uncommon Magic Item. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing good?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So this is the first one of these. Basically, the idea is just to kind of podcast out some stuff that's been happening with like D&D and with the campaign. And he is actually playing in the A Fear and Fools campaign that I'm running. So.
That is true. Do you want me to do a little dive on what my character is?
Yeah, we'll do that in a second.
Oh, okay.
But for now, if you would like to do a little dive on your TikTok or whatever else you're doing,
oh yeah,
to plug right now.
That's fair. A quick starter. I did make a TikTok. I promise it's not cringy. If anything, it's kind of a joke.
It was actually really funny.
My amazing girlfriend peer pressured me to get a TikTok, and then despite her, I made D&D content, and it's kind of growing. But anyways, you can find me at Uncommon Magic Item on TikTok.
Wow, look at that. Editing magic. On this blank screen, it showed your username so they can find you.
Whoa.
Crazy.
Bam! Look, and there's
another one. And there's so many. Get them off. Get them out of here.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, no, and I swear, it is funny. I feel like that's how most guys get TikTok, though, is they get peer pressured by their girlfriends.
That or they, think they can do something.
Yeah.
But off of that, that's not what we're here for.
No, because we're here for kind of a session 0, explaining what's been going on in the A Fear and Fools campaign so far, so you're not left behind. So first off, the world setting, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird. It's the power scaling is very different than most D&D campaigns. So like the villains are extremely powerful, and so are the heroes that they come against. The party is in kind of an odd space where they're just like they're the only people without being like level 10 plus. Mm-hmm.
I think a good way to explain it would be like it's anime.
Yeah, it's very inspired by anime. So if you're very confused about the fact that I threw in certain enemies very quickly, yes, I did do that, and it was fun and fine, and you'll see what happens with that in a sec. But yeah, there's 3 large cities, and there are multiple magic guard guilds that kind of enforce the laws and protect the people of the area. But we'll get into those in a second too.
Yeah, that's true. I'll say, are you gonna go down the full list?
I'm not gonna go down the full list.
Okay, there's 20, but that's still
a
minute of just sitting there listing off.
And these are the 7 rhino classes.
Yeah.
No. So okay. So first is our tournament arc. You were introduced a little late, weren't you?
I believe I was introduced like after your first session or something like that. But I was there for the tournament and the tickets.
Okay, well, opening up to the city of Drangalaria, there is a festival going on. Once a year, all of the Magic Guard guilds are kind of assessed on how well they've done over the past year. They're ranked, and the top 5 guilds are given the title of royalty, as well as having a tournament to see who can actually get in. So this is your classic shonen tournament arc. Again, it is very similar to an anime. So, first things first, people get into town. We can introduce the first few characters right away. There is the Royal Jacob Armont, who is better than you in every way. We love him. He's amazing. I actually talked about him, the guy who played this, in my character building episode. So if you want to look back at that. But no, he also has a servant named Marilyn, who is just amazing.
Yeah. She's super sweet. She's like really caring. She's, I don't know. She's kind of like the equivalent of having an older sister, but also a younger sister, in the terms that like she'll make you a pot of tea out in the rainstorm. Kind of older sister vibes. Is like she'll do anything.
But she also has no confidence.
But she has no confidence, and she's really shy. And you bump into she bumps into a wall. She'll apologize to the wall.
Yeah, yeah. We love Marilyn. And there's some issues come out of that a little bit later. But anyway, so the idea here is the whole party, which includes them, a really basically your classic anime protagonist, Zeta,
Yeah.
Arakakura, who his entire character is just, I'm gonna be the best, and I'll save all my friends.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that's how his character was at the start.
Yeah, well, it came out.
Yeah,
And we'll continue.
But no, yeah, that's a good way to put that.
Yeah.
The reason he also is the protagonist-ish feel is because anyone who plays a wild magic sorcerer has the unbalanced crazy powers. The
Yeah,
protagonist.
and you'll see that in like Dingo Doodles and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so he's a wild mage. The previous mentioned guy, Jacob Armont, is an archer. There's also the old guy who basically he's a super nice guy, but just kind of wanted to foster the next generation. He actually used to be part of the Magic Guard, but then joined back. His name was Phineas, but we'll introduce some more characters as we go along. Yeah, so the kind of idea, and this is where we're gonna introduce your character, is they have to go to the Coliseum, they have to buy these tickets so that they can get into the tournament. Well, they have to actually buy them 5 days earlier, but when the party gets there, they meet you.
That's me. I call my character Cloud. He is a...
Not Cloud Strife.
No, yeah. The reason his name is that is he is an air genasi, and genasi from their respective elemental planes have very generic elemental-ish names. Like you would find an earth genasi, and no joke, his name would be Rocky, and it would be a respectable name. So thus my name was Cloud. And how I kind of built him, he is half Sun Soul Monk, and the other half is Tempest Cleric. So his whole deal is, along with those things, he gets things that are reminiscent to the sun, the thunderstorms, and even just the sky itself, because he gets gust of wind, I believe, later down the road, and also just levitate. So he's like bearer of the sky, the representative, and with what his whole deal is, there's just like this whole elemental war going on. Like the big race issue is between straight up elements. So that's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, there's a big like race war going on, and not between like tieflings are fine, orcs are fine. It's basically just the different elemental planes are just constantly at war, which does spill into the material plane, but that hasn't come up much in this campaign yet.
Okay.
No spoilers. Yeah, speaking of the planes, again, we'll get to that later. Patience! We'll get into everything eventually. But basically, there was this entire thing about, like, they had to keep their tickets, because there would be royals and nobles who thought they were above everyone, would try to, bully commoners out of the positions, out of the tickets. They'd also get stolen a lot of the times, because they're extremely valuable on the open market. So a big thing happened when all of them rolled like 5 or below on perception in the middle of the night, and like all their tickets were stolen. Except for I think Jacob, who I think was too lazy to wake up anyway.
Oh no, yeah, that's a big part of his character. He never wakes up first.
No,
if anything, he's just always waking up last. Like, oh, what do you want to do this morning? I want to do this. I want to do this.
Marilyn,
Jacob, I want to wake up.
Marilyn, I want my morning tea. But sir, it's 2 p.m. Did I stutter?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, he didn't wake up. They had to chase the thief throughout the city. The thing is, they didn't actually even get their tickets back. They were gone from the thief's pockets. They weren't on him. So he obviously had stashed them somewhere. They couldn't get the information out of them. So eventually, this was the first like big arc, is that there was this group called the Bloody Bow that they had to do research on and kind of take him down. Well, they didn't end up taking him down. They actually all almost died trying to like head-on fight this place. Were you there for that part?
No, for this I was not.
No, okay, yeah, so basically what they did is they all tried to just bum rush this like cult base. And
why?
Yeah, like it was just like full of drow, right? And to answer your questions, like wouldn't it be easy to fight them out in the daytime? They actually had an like a covered area of the city that their base was in.
Sun's bad for you. But what if we big umbrella?
Yeah, kind of.
Something I did want to point out. There were lots of moments where in this world, we as a party would run into threats that we're very much not supposed to fight, and our level 1 protagonist brains were like, oh, we're supposed to do that.
Yeah, this was definitely one of those where they're like, oh, he wouldn't have thrown it. No, all of these drow were like level 8 plus, and all of you were like level 3. But yeah, so that didn't work. So instead, they basically just all sat in this bar called, it says Fight Club, but it's like scratched out and it just says The Pub. It's just like this really poor attempt at being like discreet about being an illegal fight club. But they sat in this place, and then the druid wild shaped into like a spider, and snuck in. The thing is, if you know anything about drow, they actually love spiders, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the spider queen is like their goddess. So the thing is, he got noticed. He was actually put in like a cage. Like,
oh yes, entertainment.
A pet. Yeah, like a pet.
Okay. Yeah.
So then he had to break out, and they're like, a normal spider wouldn't have broken out of that. So fun fact, they actually just like burned down their entire base to like kill this guy. He ended up stealing their tickets back though, and a bag of holding. So that was.
Oh, I didn't know that he got the bag of holding early. You
Speaking
know
of
what? No, I think I did actually.
I didn't actually explain who the druid was. We should do that. He's
yes.
a Tabaxi druid, druid ranger multiclass. His main gimmick is being an archer, but like a stealthy archer. Like pass without trace is like his go-to. But
the funny thing about this character, his name's Sparrow.
yeah, Sparrow. Yeah,
Sparrow,
Woods.
yeah, Sparrow Woods.
Like Robin Hood.
Robin
but-
Hood.
yeah.
The guy who made Sparrow does a lot of things on that like kind of thing. Like he had I remember at one point, I think this is a different story entirely, but the way he did this, he was able to get 2 horses. One of them was black, one of them was brown. What is it? Yeah, the black one was Black Betty, and then the brown one was Bambalam. So then when he was like driving the carriage with these horses, and he'd stop and he'd go, "Whoa, Black Betty, Bambalam," and like.
So odd, huh? Very interesting. Yeah, no, but this is also the same guy who played Broad, the Forgotten of Koranabura, blah 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 blah, in my dragon video. So, if you want to check out the fighting a dragon with hockey, because that's a thing that he was also there for, check that out. Anyway, so they get their tickets back, blah blah blah. They end up entering the tournament. There are multiple rounds of the tournament. It changes every year. But the first round is a 1v1 fighting tournament where you got to settle some racial disputes against.
Yeah, I guess. I literally like. It's kind of just choose who you're fighting. Like find someone in this giant arena and fight them. Oh, because I remember the way Jacob Armand went about this is he went up to the poorest guy he could find. He's like, "I'll give you 5 gold if you let me whoop your butt."
Yeah, and then the funny thing is he went to get the poorest guy ever, right? So it was just a commoner. Like he just went up to a commoner and then he dealt like 20 damage in a turn and just killed this man.
I think he survived it.
No, he survived because there are like a ton of clerics. Again, this is an extremely high level campaign. The only thing that doesn't exist, which is worth bringing up, is the fact that resurrection. That's not a magic that exists here. So like spells like True Resurrection just don't exist in this campaign unless you find like a scroll or the Rod of Resurrection.
You can't just like go walking around like, and you're alive, and you're alive.
Yeah, because I figured in this kind of game, true death would mean a lot more.
Yeah, I like that. I like how that's fun. Anyway, the racial thing.
Oh yeah.
I literally just ran into an Earth Genasi. Cloud did this, and just back and forth these like puns that were slurs, weird energy.
Except
awkward laughs.
They're not slurs, right? It's basically just like their name, like get out of here, Geo dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so stupid. But anyway, so they all got past that, luckily. Oh, I forgot to say, one of the captains. So the 20 Magic Guard guilds have captains, right?
Captains and a royal.
Yeah, the captains and a royal that sponsors the group. But here's the thing: to show their might and to just kind of as a publicity thing, they have one of the captains compete in the trial every year. So I rolled for it, they voted for it, and ended up having Captain Brack, who is this Goliath barbarian woman who basically just took out like 40 people in this like 10-second period.
I don't remember. I just pictured her being like giant. Was she also able to cast like enlarge and reduce, or was she just big?
No, she's a
big.
Goliath.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Not even like.
Not half Goliath or
No,
anything.
she's just straight up partially giant. Yeah. So anyway, they got past that. The second test was to go out into the forest, and there are two ways that you can actually succeed the second test. You can either go out in the forest and fight a chimera and take one of its heads, and that counts as a success, or you can take someone else's ticket, which is kind of, it eliminates more people, and there were a limited amount of chimeras as well.
And I believe at this point, I remember, like, we just started hunting the chimera, and I was having trouble, like, planning or being with the group. Mm-hmm. So from this point out until I bring it back up that I'm in, this is all. Some of the story was kind of explained, but the reason I'm here today is so you can get some reaction on this story. Because all the other players would be like, yeah, this happened, but I'll be like, what? Because I was gone for a good amount due to the pandemic hitting pretty hard.
Yeah.
At around this point. So.
Yeah. So he wasn't able to join us for a lot of this, but that's why you're here. Now you get to catch on up along with everyone watching.
Yes.
So the basic idea here is to take other people's ticket, to kind of survive too, and also killing was like totally fine in this.
Oh.
Like, yeah. So it was brutal. Like people were dropping left and right. So they go out in the forest. This is where we'll introduce our next character, Elabar, who is a Firbolg wizard. He's actually a time wizard, so that's interesting. But basically, he has a whole plot line that I'm not going to get into because it's still developing. However, basically, he joins up with the rest of the party. They decide to team up and fight these chimeras. So they get a few chimeras, but then they don't have quite enough tickets. They then spend the night. They sleep, and we introduce another character, Raphael. This is where we introduce this guy. He was like a dog.
Basically.
He was a red lizard folk, but like instead of being like a classic lizard folk, he was actually I can tell you about this because no one knows this. He actually was experimented on by a rival nation, and he was created to be like a weapon. So if you pass like an animal through this chamber, it would create a large, smarter version of that animal. And whatever, it was extremely, like, excruciatingly painful. So his memories were wiped so that he didn't have the trauma, and then he was just kind of kicked out because he was a failed experiment. He wasn't like strong enough.
So like Rocket.
Rocket.
Galaxy.
That's an incredibly good like analogy.
Okay, but he's more of a lizard, and I do remember like later down the road, Cloud did meet this lizard, and he was very like. It wasn't like a genius though. He was again a failed attempt, and he was kind of childish.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, he acted like a dog. So like when they all like went into camp or whatever, he was like curled up on the ground and slept. And Jacob was like, ugh, disgusting vermin.
Animal.
Yeah. So they woke up in the middle of the night though to screaming. Oh, you don't know this.
No,
so,
I don't.
Of screaming, everyone woke up and they're like freaking out. They hear like crashes. Honestly, the players thought it was a dragon.
Whoa.
Because there was just like breaking branches and like an entire tree just like smashed into the middle of camp. So all this happened, they all got up freaked out and were like, what's going on? There must be fighting, we need to get awake. They look over and see Captain Brack like hitting people, not with the sharp end of her axe, but like with the side end and just like misting them.
Oh, wait, like the back end or the flat?
No, like
end?
the flat of the axe.
Oh.
And just like misting them up against like trees. She, like I said, this was very brutal. So they had to get away from Brack. But then Raphael, who was a rogue and again is the lizard folk, decided that he was going to sneak in and steal a couple of the other people's tickets that she had killed. Yeah, so he did manage to do that, but then he was actually found out, and she was like. She's like, haha, you think you can take me? You'll die for this! And then he just like curled up around her feet.
Oh.
And she was like, actually, this is kind of cute.
Oh.
And like it didn't, because I think
what kind of roll was that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he made like a charm check, like just straight charisma, and rolled like a 19 raw.
Okay. Understandable.
Yeah.
A nice day.
Yeah. Yeah, so she just found it cute and like, fine, I won't kill you, just leave me alone. But then he just like was following around. He's like, why are you strong? You're my friend. I've never had a friend before. Yeah, she eventually just like kicked him out, whatever.
Oh.
The point is, he got those extra tickets, which the rest of the party ended up taking from him because he didn't need 5 tickets. And everyone else had their stuff, so they went back into the city for the third task. Oh yeah, also I forgot to say, it was a 24-hour period that you had to do all this stuff, to get the tickets and all that.
Okay.
And you couldn't enter the city unless you had ticket. Well, after they go back to the city, they see that standing in front of the gate is Brack again. Would you look at that? And she's just...
She's really participating.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
tell you what.
Oh yeah. Well, the idea is that if they see that the captains are this powerful, like if villains see the captains are this powerful, they're not gonna like mess with the cities or anything because it's like a show of power. However, it is very brutal to just be killing people like this.
Like, I want to be an adventurer. I want to work for the Magic Guild. Smack.
My axe says no. Well, that's why a lot of people, when they saw her, I think she gave them fair warning. She was like, hey, if you try to enter, you're gonna die.
Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember there was like warning, this is not a child-friendly, bring your son to work day event.
And there's no killing in the first round either, so all the like soft people who would have just died, like, were already disqualified.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not again, there were like hundreds upon hundreds probably of people that joined, probably a couple thousand, and only probably 20 died. I think all but one at the hands of Brack, but that's a story for another time. So the party basically had this level 20 barbarian that they were trying to get past. They had to use like all of their spell slots, all of these things, to get into the city, and eventually they did get in. Raphael almost died. A few people almost died. But it's fine.
I do remember asking every now and then on how things were going, and the recap always would be, we almost all died. Especially Zeta, the Arakakra.
He's glass cannon.
He was very much a glass cannon.
Always
dies. Because he was wild magic, and I don't think he had a high con or anything, so it's just that D6 for health every time he leveled up.
Yeah, which is not much. Plus, he would always just jump headfirst into things because protagonist.
Yes.
I will protect my friends with my 20 health.
Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, no one has actually died at this point, luckily. But they get back to the arena, and at the arena is set up this kind of maze with all of these puzzles that I created. And I spent so long laboring over these puzzles, and they were riddles, and they were gonna be so good. And if they got them wrong, it was a set of 3 riddles, and if they got one wrong, it was gonna like fill the chamber they were in with acid slowly. Yeah, no, it was like crazy stuff that okay, the point is, I have like 10 players in this campaign. They just like solved every riddle in like 3 seconds flat between like all of them. Because they just had so many like different people thinking different ways.
Yeah.
That like I spent like 4 hours on these riddles, and they were just solved in a period of like a minute. Yeah. I was actually kind of upset about that one. Because it was supposed to be hard, and it was supposed to be like, okay, maybe like people will actually like have to think instead of just being like, I roll to attack, you know?
Yes.
But then, yeah, whatever. I need to make harder puzzles, I guess. But yeah, so they eventually got into the last round, and the final round was basically, you had all of the royals and all of the captains kind of over the arena, looking down, watching, along with all the spectators. There are a ton of spectators always. And basically, you perform, you show them what you got, and they'll like choose you to be part of their guild, right?
Okay.
So, they all did their performances. Fun fact, Jacob Armand, who is, again, a royal, his father is actually the head of the 3rd strongest guild at this point. So, he made an absolute fool of himself as an arcane archer. Yeah, no, so he shot the ground behind him, and he was trying to like make an explosion, like rocket jump up to like do like a triple shot, do like a Robin Hood something. Yeah, he rolled like a nat 1. Okay. So instead he just like shrapneled and like broke his leg. And then he like got up to make a shot, and he's like, "Fine, I'll just get a target and make a shot instead." And then
I just thought of something because you mentioned the nat 1 there.
yeah,
Later down the road, there are some stats that people have pointed out to me in some of my videos talking about how a nat 1, like if you're a rogue or something, doesn't matter if you're doing ability checks because it always boosts up.
fun fact, it actually does matter. That's reliable talent, and that only works on 2 to 10s. It automatically makes it a 10.
That and another thing was, I believe somebody commented a nat 20 doesn't mean auto success if it's not an attack. But the thing is, the way that we play is if you roll that nat 1, you have to take that nat 1. Same with the nat 20, no matter what. And I really like that.
Yeah, well, so I put the caveat that like a nat 20 is the best possible result. You can't pick up and throw a mountain with a nat 20.
That's true.
Because it's not possible. But it gives you the best humanly possible result for your character. And a nat 1 is also the worst humanly possible result.
Whether it's in combat or out of combat.
Yeah, and I know technically that's not core to the rules. Like a 1 is not a nat failure. On a 20 is not a crit on spell checks. But
it's a house rule.
It's house rule, and I find it fun, and I think we all find it fun.
Yeah, I definitely find that fun.
So anyway, there's all these things, and everyone's doing their thing. I think Brack took a massive metal pole and took a piece of coal and smashed it into the ground so hard that it became a diamond.
What?
Yeah.
Big flex. Dang.
Yeah, well, she had big muscles, so she only has a strength of 26. Don't worry about it. And again, also, yes, I know that's not possible, but I homebrew because it's fun, and fun trumps rules in our campaigns.
Then again, it's not like dumb homebrew. It's not I found myself looking at a list of magic items that I could try to shop for, and we were coming across magic items. One of them was a common thing that basically just stored smites.
Yeah, it's just a common item.
There was another one that was the banana sword.
Yeah, the point is we try to keep it balanced.
Yeah.
And if you look at my last video, which was how to challenge players, you'll see more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so they all do their things. Basically, no one really is jumping at the idea of getting these guys. They're all like level 4 at this point, and everyone else in the competition is like level 12. Yes, they did all get through because of some awesome teamwork. And Zeta, protagonist man, comes up, of course, last, and just says, "I've noticed that you have not appreciated any of my friends' talents, and that's because they cannot be displayed in this way. Our talent is our friendship and our bond. We will become the best and greater than any royal." And of course, the royals got up and just like, "Sit down."
Boo.
Yeah, so basically, everyone just started crapping on all of the party, except for one noble, and that is the head of the Purple Koalas.
Yes.
Which is the guild that they're in. Yay, Purple Koalas.
Purple Koalas.
They suck. The Purple Koalas.
Yeah, not just our party so far, our party of level 4s, but the Purple Koalas is reputationally the worst guild. Not like they're ranked.
Well, they're ranked.
So, okay, some of them are ranked, but there's like a big area in the middle where like they're all probably equal. But Purple Koalas is like the bottom of the list all the time.
Like, they don't do anything.
They basically get the equivalent of, I guess, Road Guard.
Yeah, well, no, not even. They don't do anything. Because the idea behind the Purple Koalas is the ideal that they stand for is the ideal of freedom in all things. So a lot of them just take the freedom and the liberty to not do anything.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So, like, because that's their ideals. Most of the guilds have their ideals, whether it be security, protection, or in this case, freedom.
Okay.
So it's the embodiment of freedom in that way. But yeah, whatever. Basically, his speech impressed the head of the Purple Koalas, and they were able to join. But then, yeah, after that, they join the Purple Koalas. They're not very impressed. They go on a couple quests. Those aren't that important until eventually they they take down some street criminals. Zeta almost dies again.
Yep.
Like for the 15th time at this point. And they take down some street criminals, and basically they're called in, and there's another quest that's put on the quest board. And of course the party wants to do it because it's a D&D party and there's quests on the quest board, let's do it. All the other Purple Koalas are like, "Are you crazy?" you're gonna do a quest? Like, why?
I love it.
We get paid to not do that. But yeah, no, they take the quest. And basically, the reason it was given to the purple koalas is because they're expendable.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, there is a large-scale attack by undead that happened a couple months before the festival, and the attacks of undead like on the city, like the sky was kind of blotted out on the east side, which allowed undead to like get to the walls. And whatever, it didn't work. The point is, it didn't work. The captains absolutely decimated them. But they were like, "Hey, we have some leads on that attack. Do you remember that attack?" And the players like, "Yeah, we remember it." And they go to the Phasian Desert to the west and go to check that out. On their journey, they actually managed to convince one of the purple koalas to come with them, a warforged named Paragon, who is... Oh, Paragon's dope.
You did tell me a little bit about Paragon on your own, and from what I've heard, I really like him. What I believe is he's powered by the staff?
Yeah, so the Rod of the Magi.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, so it for those of you that don't know, it's a legendary magic item that can cast a whole bunch of spells, and it can actually absorb spells, and it has 50 charges. So if it absorbs a 7th level spell, it just gets 7 charges. And to cast a 7th level spell, it uses 7 charges. So it just has it can just absorb magic. And he has some abilities that allow him to absorb other things like elemental damage and all that. But no, he's awesome, and he can also cast all the spells from the rod as well. But it also gives him his sentience. It's a power structure built by an artificer to make him the way he is. So he's awesome. But anyway, they go forward. They start traveling towards the Phasian Desert, but they decide to take the north road. It gets really cold. They start going to the mountains until they feel an intense heat. They go and see a valley of ice that has been melted and refrozen. Everything is glassy smooth.
Ooh, that sounds cool. Okay.
Yeah, and there's these like obsidian structures at the bottom of this massive valley in the mountains. So when they go down to the valley, they see that there are these kind of tribal people with red markings and tattoos and all this. They're like, "Oh," and they say like, "Would you like safer passage? Would you like safer passage into the Phasian Desert? We have a faster way." And so they're looking around, right?
Okay. Yeah. Wait. This whole like icy, snowy part of this mountain. This is still part of the desert, right? Or is it right before?
No, it's on the way to the desert. So
okay.
they took the northern pass through the mountains, and then they'd go back down south to the desert. So they're going to the west.
Right. I see.
And yeah, so they go in the middle. Number 1, I have a homebrew monster that I've created called a Pendragon. Because for a party of 10 plus people, an ancient dragon, like yes, I know this sounds weird to say, ancient dragons are so powerful, but like it's not enough for a level 10 party. Like I threw a demigod in the last campaign at him, and it just got wrecked. So yeah, so I made my own thing called the Pendragon, which is basically a king of dragons. So it's above an ancient dragon. It has levels in barbarian, fighter, sorcerer.
Okay.
So like crazy stuff. Well, anyway, they find a Pendragon who basically says, "Oh, I'll give you," like he's red, right? He's evil.
Oh, he's a red dragon?
Oh, he's a red Pendragon, yeah.
Question 2 on Pendragons. Ancient dragons are huge. Are Pendragons bigger?
Well, yes, but the thing about the Pendragon is all Pendragons also have the ability to polymorph.
Oh yeah, okay.
So he's polymorphed into a human, and he was called the Red Priest.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah, so they found the Red Priest. Basically, every night, a massive portal in this area is open to the fire plane that melts the entire mountainside, and it refreezes the next day.
Got it. That's why it looks like that.
Yeah, so they also noticed that there's the sparkling of gems underneath this ice, which is the dragon's hoard throughout the entire valley.
Okay.
Yeah. So normally white dragons store their treasure under ice, but for flavor reasons.
Because it's still next to an opening plane of fire.
Yeah. There's this whole thing, and basically the tribesmen acted as like cultists. But anyway, so they basically were like debating whether or not that they should trust this dragon, because this dragon says that he has a faster way, and that's through the plane of fire. Like basically nether travel if you play Minecraft.
Nope.
No, well, it's just faster, but it's incredibly more dangerous. So they're like debating. The red dragon's bored and he's evil, so he's just gonna toss him in. Yeah, he literally just forms a portal and just says, "Nope, you're going."
What a dude.
What a dude. He would have actually taken tribute if they would have said no, but like, yeah, he found it fun to throw him into the fire plane. Yeah, so they throw him into the fire plane. They have to make this massive trek to the city of Brass, which is a massive, like one of the only like livable spots in the Plane of Fire. And there's this crazy thing. They're chased by a dragon. Zeta almost dies for the 50th time. Also, the dragon breathes fire at them right as they get to the gates of the city of Brass, but Paragon actually absorbs most of the elemental damage. They all take half damage, and none of them die, but like half of them are knocked out. But Paragon's like overloading with energy at this point, because if the Staff of Magi gets to 50 charges, it blows up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I know, like, there's a whole thing if you snap it, it blows up, but I didn't know that.
No, yeah, if it gets too many charges, it just like...
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So he's overloading at this point. Well, City of Brass is like hostile as heck. Like everyone is there to like either enslave you or like extort you in some way. So they actually get enslaved. But then Paragon has all this like dragon energy, right? So he just busts them all out. Yeah. So the slavers are like, fine, we'll tell you how to get out of this plane as long as you don't kill us. Like that would be acceptable.
I like Paragon. I wish I met Paragon.
Yeah, sadly.
I still haven't had a chance to meet him since I've been back.
No. You will eventually. He'll show up later.
Yeah.
So they go out, and they end up getting out of the fire plane, out into the middle of the desert. Well, Paragon's still overflowing. So he actually... This is something that's really cool in the world, actually. He actually decides to unleash his energy by casting, like, 3 times... Casting, like, 8 fireballs. Yeah, like 8 fireballs off into the countryside. Well, I ruled that casting those fireballs actually turned the sand of the desert into glass. So now there's a dune of glass, which no one knows about this, but it was actually converted into an oasis and is now like a place for people to stop by in their journey because it's a dome of glass that was then hollowed out by the wind.
How big was it?
Large, probably about like 50 feet across.
Okay, so it's basically not a civilization, but it's a building.
Oh yeah, no, it's a building. Yeah.
Okay, alright, cool.
It's a little garden. Yeah.
Pretty.
And yeah, so it's a little rest stop on the journey in the desert. They go by and whatever. They start searching around for clues on this kind of necromantic. They realize necromantic organization. They realize that it is the cult of Bylanthamet. That's what it is. In this campaign, Baphomet, through undisclosed means, became a god and not just a demon lord. But he actually also became a god, and he is in direct contrast with a homebrew god that I made called Bylantha, who's the god of life. And this necromantic cult basically just wants to combine the 2 teachings into one god. They want to make their new god.
Oh.
Yeah.
God of life and death? Just like the god of life and death, the god of balance? What?
Well, like yeah, the god of undeath, basically.
Oh.
So like yeah, there's Orcus.
That doesn't sound
But
good.
they're trying to basically make a new Orcus because the previous Orcus was actually killed in the last campaign, or like locked away.
Which is loosely connected. It's
like on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it takes place in the same world, but not the same spot in that world. If anything, it's that good kind of feeling where you might hear, like if you go into an inn, you might hear the bard who's performing there. He's singing about the past character, and you're like, oh, but it doesn't mean we're gonna run into him and that they're still part of the plot. Other side of the world, something's happened. It's a new story.
Yeah. It's like Critical Role where it's the same world, but it's so separated that you're not really gonna hear that much about the other campaign. Sure. He's gonna go get more water while I rant about this. So, yeah, hydrate. Gotta stay hydrated. So, speaking of which, we're in a desert. So they go into the desert city, the Oasis City, and eventually find the King's Palace there. It's the kind of capital of the Phaeacian Desert. They find the King's Palace, but they also find the major oasis. The major draw to the city is actually closed. No one's been able to get in for months. So they find that extremely suspicious. Don't be suspicious. They end up finding a woman named Jazia. You talk quite like this. It's Jazia. And
I've never met Jazia.
no, Jazia, she didn't. Yeah, she basically was sneaking in, and they found her, and they ended up sneaking in as well. Oh, also, Elibar crushed a man to death.
What?
Yeah, they went into a shop, and the shopkeep was like guarding the door to this to the like underground passage that led to the oasis, right? So the thing is, the underground like section had to be hollowed out every time that it was opened, and what it would do is it would push all that stone and dirt into the back room. Well, they got in a fight with the storekeep. The storekeep was like a level 2, not a hard fight. They ended up locking him in the back room, and then they found the secret door. So he was just screaming while he was slowly crushed to death by the stone.
Okay,
of the
so
door.
it's not like he went out of his way to crush him?
No.
Okay, because, like, Elibar he's, let's see.
He cares the most about knowledge more than anything.
That's true. He does care about knowledge, but considering that he has the voice of Korg from Thor, it's easy to pin his personality, or at least similar things. He is not like, it's more of a, hey, we're gonna go on an adventure. It's not like, hey, we're gonna go mutilate a city.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So yeah.
So okay, so
Guys,
that was an accident.
Yeah. Then they try to sneak in, realize that Jazia, is actually the leader, or at least a leader of this cult. So when they show up with like the 2 other party members that went with her, she just says, "Hey, take them. They'll be part of the sacrifice." That night, they all feel a massive pulsing energy as the people who are, downstairs realize that they are part of a sacrificial circle to make a death knight. Yeah, Jazia became a death knight.
You people have mentioned the Death Knight. I didn't know it was her. This explains why I haven't met her. All right.
Yeah, so she's that exists. Then the rest of them show up because they see like massive amounts of like green light and feel this pulsing energy. They show up, free their friends, realize that the Death Knights, it's a CR-17, like it's just gonna kill them, right? Like, so they just they all run. Again, none of them die because the Death Knight's major priority is to get out of there. The cleric. We can bring in the cleric now. We have a cleric, and her name is Samora, and she is very stupid.
Very stupid, but very kind.
Very kind. No, and she believes everything that everyone says. She's like the most gullible human being. Mm-hmm. Human life cleric.
It's got the. Her last character, who was a warlock, had the same voice, and I get that voice acting can be hard sometimes, but they feel different enough where it doesn't matter. Like they both do the thing where they have like a highish charisma but a low intelligence. So it's like the only reason you're agreeing with them is because they're cute.
I mean, yeah.
It's like, wait, well, why don't we maybe take shelter from the big thing in the sky? That's the sun.
Perfect.
Like, and that could be her cleric or her warlock, but her cleric was so much more loving. She's a life cleric, which is whatever you have to say about a cleric that's mean, throw it out the window. They're important.
Yeah. So, well, that's annoying. Someone's running the heat. So I'm sorry if you guys can hear that.
I wonder if it's coming through.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, perfect. So anyway, moving on. Anyway, she felt bad about all the people that were like suffering down below that were used. Half of their life force was used as a sacrifice. So she goes down to help them. And
she feels bad.
Yeah, she feels bad. She wants
We're having a rough day.
So everyone else left though, and she like stayed behind.
Oh.
So she stayed behind. She has to merge with Stone, to like not die, and then like kind of sunk down to the chamber where the ritual was formed. She then saw a lich. Yay, a lich at level 5. Yay, isn't that fun? So yeah, a lich comes down and basically just says, "Now all we need is the god." An investigation ensues, and they realize that the cult's teachings and kind of a major theme in the story is that there are three major powers in the world: the knight, the mage, and the god. So
Is that a play on? I don't know why, but there's like the three major powers in my head. I went, Father, Son, the Holy Spirit.
the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Yeah, kind of.
A little, but the opposite.
Yeah, like the opposite. So they figured out that the Lich is the mage, the Death Knight is the knight, and they have no idea what the god is. I'm sure you can figure out if whatever. That's a lesson for another time. Oh, that was awkward. Anyway.
Oh well.
Whatever. It's live.
Yeah, it's been 45 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, we're trying to make this under an hour, so we gotta speed through these next arcs.
Oh, are we?
Well,
Okay.
It doesn't really matter either way.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but moving on for those of you listening at home, I can't think of words.
Lich. We were
Lich.
on Lich.
You're on the Lich. The Lich left. They kind of wrapped up that plot line, realized, hey, we're all gonna die if we keep on messing with this. We're just gonna report this back to the authorities and leave it at that. So they travel back to the city. On the travel back, they actually run back across the Pendragon, the Red Priest. And basically, he just says, "Oh, you survived. Well, I guess you're gonna have to pay me then." And they're like, "What?" So they had to pay like all of their gold to not die because Red Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. They vowed that they'd come back. Oh, also they had to leave their horses when they went into the Plane of Fire. The dragon ate the horses.
Rude.
He also ate all of the tribesmen.
Okay, I guess that's solved.
So they vowed that they'd come back when they were level 20, but they're not there yet. So.
No, definitely not.
So yeah, moving on. They got back to the city of Dranglaria, reported the stuff, got money, bought stuff. Shopping episode. And then Raphael meets you, and you come back.
Oh yes, I do come back.
Yeah.
I say as I'm literally coming back from not sitting down.
Yeah.
So as I come back, I meet everyone who I didn't meet.
Including Raphael.
Raphael. The way I was introduced to Raphael, I am an Air Genasi, so I am blue. He is a red lizard, so he is red. There's automatically
red versus blue.
Yeah, there's automatically that tension for some reason. And then we just spar right out in front of a tavern. And
It was in front of the Fight Club.
in front of the
pub.
Fight Club, yeah. And then because of that, Raphael, because he still has like this dog way, likes me.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like a bond formed in battle.
Ah.
Like you guys both kind of respected each other's way of fighting. He respected your discipline because he didn't have any, and you respected his kind of ferocity because you were nice up until this point. He gets kind of crazy later. Cloud gets kind of
Yeah. Let's see. No, I think the other thing he cared about was yes, Cloud, the honor.
Honor. Oh yeah. He didn't know what honor meant. He'd never heard that word
So he
before.
was figuring that out. Not Cloud, Raphael. Wizard. He was figuring out.
was
But
a
anyway,
cute
I say hi to the party again. And after that,
Yeah, so he says hi to the party. Phineas is overjoyed. He's like, "Oh, one of my pupils is back. Oh, what a good Sonny."
Jacob is annoyed.
Jacob's like, "Oh, another one. How dare you?" Marilyn was overjoyed. We love Marilyn. So, basically what happened is Raphael and Cloud decided to start cleaning up the overflowing multiple stacks of bounties on the bounty board in the base of the Purple Koalas. Which is so run down. Like, the teleportation circle to get in causes you to, like, have nausea every time you go into it.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, you have to roll a con save whenever you enter it.
Oh, you just get like fatigued or.
Throw
Oh,
up.
that's rough.
They have buckets by the circle.
Instead of fixing it, just add to it.
Yeah.
Make it normal.
Well, hey, it's a defense mechanism, right?
It is, yeah.
It's the only way to get in.
Yeah.
So if anyone gets in, they're just vomiting, you just stab them.
Yeah, at least there's a bucket.
There's a bucket for him, though. So they decided to figure out a bounty, and they're like, "Oh, this is a little bounty. It's just like a couple people went missing." Yeah, they end up finding like the Eldritch Horror of Satan.
Was it Satan or Cthulhu?
Well, like, yeah, Cthulhu, but like,
big bad guy.
Yeah.
Not the big bad guy, but a very big bad guy.
Yeah, they like walk in, they like tracked this guy down to a warehouse, and they walked in, they're like, okay, this is sketchy. It's split up. And then they just hear screaming and like ripping sounds. They look and see like a person ripped in half and thrown into an eldritch portal. Yeah. There's a guy whose eyes are closed, who has blind sense, tremor sense, or true sight. He has true sight through his closed eyes, and he claimed to be from a cult called the Sleepwalkers, which is a cult of Cthulhu, as you probably could have guessed. Mm-hmm. But basically, Raphael and Cloud fought him, and then he was just like, "Why am I fighting you? I've already sacrificed everyone I need to for today. Bye," and just portals out.
Yeah, yeah. We just sat there. We should tell someone.
As there's just blood soaking through the ground. Imagine like the Full Metal Alchemist like sacrifice circles. It's
yeah,
it was like Philosopher's Stone circles. It was like that. So they decide to report it, and then the magic guilds are like, okay, then you take care of it. I don't know. You picked up the bounty. They're like, okay. So they okay. The pirates. I forgot about the pirates.
Hey, I like the pirates.
I love the pirates.
They're like the first big encounter.
Yeah. The first one where they
when
actually
I was back.
Yeah, when you were back, and it was the first big encounter where they actually fought through the encounter instead of running away.
Oh.
So
it's good for everyone.
Yeah, the idea is they had to get to the city of Jethro, which is where the guy basically says, if you want to stop me, try in Jethro. And the reason he did that, I didn't tell you that. The reason he told you that is because like he wanted more people to sacrifice.
Oh.
So if people are just gonna walk in and let him sacrifice them, he's all for it.
Now I feel like a dummy.
Yeah, so like obviously it was that like hubris thing where like you tell the heroes what you're doing so that they'll play into your plans.
I mean, I guess I thought you were just trying to move the story along, but it worked.
No, well, I mean, like, number one, it's a plot point, it's a plot hook.
It is.
And number two, he has a motivation.
But it's good that there's a motivation instead of just being like, hey, go here.
Hey, go here. I want you to go here. Railroad. No, I don't railroad at all. But no. So they decided to go to the city of Jethro, which is where he told them to go. They found there are also flying ships in this world. It's extremely advanced as a world. Not many guns. Not many. There are a couple. But the ships, the flying ships are extremely advanced, and there's
I think there was multiple ways to do them. I don't remember. I do remember the pirate one and how that one flew, but was one of them like just straight up a hot air balloon kind of blimpy ship?
Yeah. So there was like a blimpy ship. There was blimpy. There was basically a sky cruiser, and then there was just a pirate ship with a massive crystal that made it fly. Yeah. It was awesome. But yeah, so they got to choose between three ships that they could fly to Jethro with. The blimpy one, the cruise one, and that one. And the blimpy one just looked lame. The cruise one was like super high class and like, oh, it looks very quick, and everyone was very respectful. And then there was the crystal one with all of the like, yo ho, yo.
Yeah, there were
ho.
sea shanties were going on. We could see people drinking up in like the crow's nest, and we're like, this is what we want. And Jacob was in the back like, I like the fancy one.
Well, he specifically said, I'm not going with you if you're going on the disgusting one. And then
as he was saying that, we gently nudge him on.
Yeah, you made him somehow.
We totally made him.
I think Marilyn was like, actually gave him sass for the first time in the campaign.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And she was like, well, I'm going this way, and she's like, but I need my servant, and she's like, well, then you're gonna have to come with us.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So what are your kind of perceptions of the captain?
Okay, so there's multiple ways I could kind of bring the captain into. I'm trying to think of like references, something that could. I'll just try and go off the top of my head.
Treasure Planet's
again. Yeah, there we go. Specifically Treasure Planet, like the cyborg. He did have a cyborg arm, and that was for the sake of like a grappling hook or a sword or crossbow.
He had a cannon too.
Yeah, oh, he had the cannon arm.
He had a cannon arm, yeah.
But besides that, like he was.
He was a pirate.
like he would. every other line he had was some sort of fishing metaphor, and then every other line from that was like, would you like to play dice and get drunk, or would you like to play drunk and get dice? I'm like, we don't know what you're saying, sir.
So they literally, like, when they talk to one person, he's like, yeah, I'm the captain of the SS. You know, the other guy was like, oh yes, I have the finest ship in all of. They talk to this guy who's like, yar, ahoy, there be a storm brewing.
Yeah. And another one of his things was like, you don't have to pay to be on this ship, you just gotta work to be on this ship. And we're like, well, we do like not paying. So we picked that ship.
We do enjoy not paying, so that is what we shall do. Yeah, so basically, this captain has, I love his story, but I can't get into it in case it's revealed later in the campaign.
I want him to come back, so don't get into it yet.
Yeah,
maybe it'll come later.
Basically, there's this ancient blue dragon named Ladon. That this guy's like, it's like a Moby Dick kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Where they've clashed like hundreds of times. The ship is like wrecked every time, and the dragon's injured every time. But this was like the first big encounter where they were sailing towards a massive storm, and as lightning struck, they could see the silhouette of a massive dragon.
And all the while we're freaking out, like, we need to go faster, and then we just look back at the captain, and he's like, yep, the storm was coming.
He was just like, ye be panicking. Ye need to get ye sea legs.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, he was
sky legs.
He was like swinging from ropes, and like he jumped onto the dragon's mouth and shot a cannon into it.
It was intense.
Yeah, like
people, I do believe, fell off the ship.
Oh yeah, people fell off the ship. Luckily, there was a ring of featherfall, and we have an Aarakocra, so they were fine.
I think I'd levitate, but that would just, I had levitate so I could slow down and like grab onto a rope. Otherwise, I just sort of like slowly drifted away, all the way slowly to the ground as the boat just.
Yeah. So anyway, there's this massive fight with this dragon. Super intense. Everyone loved it. Everyone loved the captain except for Jacob. He thought he was disgusting.
He wasn't wrong, but he was fun.
I mean, like, yeah, he was disgusting, but is that the important thing? Yeah. So after a rough landing in the port city of, I said Jethro. I've been saying Jethro. It's not Jethro.
It was Clearwater Wharf.
Yeah, that's where they're going.
Very different places.
Jethro's later, but no, they're going to Clearwater Wharf.
Fishing town.
Yeah, like massive port town. It brings in all the fish. It brings in all that stuff. So they go there. They get into an investigation of this cult. They go underground. The Sleepwalkers. This is where we'll introduce another character who is what's his name? Samson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was part of the opposite cult called the Daydreamers. Both are cults of Cthulhu.
But one was the opposite. They both had the same holy symbol. The bad guys, I'm using air quotes, which you can obviously not see. The bad guys just had theirs upside down from.
Yeah, so the Sleepwalkers had the upside down logo, and the Daydreamers had the right side up logo. The Daydreamers worship Cthulhu for his wealth of knowledge, but realized that he was incredibly dangerous. While the Sleepwalkers were like, hey, Cthulhu is the god of chaos. We love that. We love chaos. Time to wake him up, because their whole goal is to try to wake him up. The Daydreamers was just to kind of worship him and learn from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so crazy things. They go into a temple. They find the guy that they fought.
Originally, the guy that Cloud and Raphael had originally found, where there was the ripping sounds. Turns out those ripping sounds were like tentacles from another plane.
Yeah. Oh, and I have to explain something here. I have to explain a lot of things here, actually, to make what's about to happen make sense. So
we're at 58 minutes.
We are. Well, it's not gonna. Don't worry, we're good.
Okay. Who cares about the hour?
Yeah, who cares? This is something they can listen to while doing dishes or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So, oh gosh, yeah, it's crazy. So, basically, the protagonist, Wild Mage, has a curse. I want to say curse because that makes it sound like Sips from Dingo Doodles, but like.
Oh, that's right, because it's a similar concept.
Yeah, it's a similar concept. Basically, because he's a wild magic sorcerer, he doesn't actually use any implements to control his magic. He is the implement. And being a living thing, it can't process all that raw magic constantly. So he has this black mark that keeps on growing onto him as he keeps on using more magic, as his body kind of gives out from the use of magic. So previous to this, there was a party in Clearwater Wharf that they were invited to. The party. Yeah, the party. Yeah. The party was in a party. Yes.
This was crazy party.
Yeah, so they show up, and the mayor of the town's like, "Oh, it's nice to meet all of you." He's actually extremely important in the plot, but we'll get.
Is he?
He's gonna be later.
Okay, all right.
But I won't even mention him because he's gonna be later in the campaign. You should watch the campaign to figure out what happens there. So basically, he pulls the Aarakocra into the other room, and he basically says, "Hey, I know what's going on with your arm. I know what's going on with your magic. I can fix it, and I can make you twice as powerful. But you have to basically sell me your soul."
A show.
And his sister showed up and basically said, "Hey, it worked for me. It will work for you too."
Oh, that's peer pressure.
Yeah. Well, so basically, just saying basically saying.
Sell your soul. All the cool kids are doing it.
Yeah. So anyway, flashing back, basically everyone's about to die. This guy's like level 18. He's half Hexblade Warlock, half Paladin, so he can stack Eldritch Smite and Smite to just do.
Oh man!
Like
Wow!
100 plus damage.
Smack.
Yeah. So he's crazy. So they're all like freaking out. And protagonist man, the Aarakocra, Zeta, finally just said, "Fine, I'll do it if you can save my friends." And then a Balor showed up. He summoned Wild Magic Surge, summoned a Balor.
I would like to point out something that I do recall, and the reason why the situation was tense. We were deep underground, but the underground was leading under the giant lake or ocean that the Clearwater Wharf was next to. So there was a threat of the walls breaking at any moment. There was also a bunch of people knocked out. The 100 damage happened to Cloud. Like, I can take him. He's out.
Yeah, and so Raphael and Cloud actually rushed him first because they thought it was like, it's their quest. They want to try.
Yes. Tried to do something about it.
So the guy like looks at everyone else is like trying to deal with Raphael and Cloud. So he actually summons a star spawn to fight, the rest of the party while he's just gonna kill Cloud.
For those who don't know what a star spawn is, it is Cthulhu, but more, I would say it's less of his like godly being and more just like the 10-foot tall animal version.
No, it's just like a big old beast.
Big old beast with like dragon wings and tentacle mouth.
Yeah, so at this time, like, there's a star spawn, there's a Balor, there's this dude.
I believe Cloud was also saving his necklace for something very important because it was a
Gem of Earth Elemental.
Yeah, Gem of Earth Elemental. I stole that.
So he threw that on there. There's an
I threw
Earth
that on there.
Elemental.
It's basically like there's so much going on. It's a Pokemon battle.
Yeah, there's just so much going on, and then through all of this, basically, the guy's like, "I've had enough." He sees the Balor. The Balor's like one mission at this point is to kill him. This guy's like, "You know what? The Star Spawn will take care of it," and he jumps out of there, and he tries to bring Cloud with him, but Raphael breaks the grip.
Yup.
The lizard breaks the grip. The guy teleports out into the middle of the ocean, and Raphael is crushed. His breath is crushed out of his lungs as he runs out of breath, and the guy just one last stab.
Yeah.
So Raphael is dead.
Yeah, that hurt Cloud a lot because found out he did that for honor his friends, because he now had friends. He wasn't like trying to scourge for friends, he had them, and well, he was gonna give it a shot to die for them, and he ended up doing exactly that.
Yeah.
And that was sad. Big sad moment.
Yeah, big sad moment.
It was also a sad moment because it was the first death, and whenever a character dies in a D&D campaign, it always makes you like, oh yes, this character can die. So the wave of mortality is draped over us, and
Yeah, no, for sure. Everyone was just like, oh wait, these characters that we love. Well, it's funny because whenever a character dies, I always get like 20 texts being like, hey, I have this idea for a backup character.
Yeah.
Because like everyone's like, oh, now I'm gonna die.
yeah. I think that actually happened at Raph. As soon as Raphael died, I'm like, well, and then I have Cloud is still currently in the campaign. I love Cloud, but I did put like a good amount of attention into a backup character already.
Yeah.
And a good warning: put a lot of attention into the backup character if you plan on playing them, not if you think it'll happen. I kind of learned this because like now I really want to play this backup character, but I don't want to give up Cloud, and
it puts the DM in a weird spot because the DM has to like write an entire plot line for your character, or at least I do, because I try to incorporate people into my.
And who knows, that character might not even come to be. So either have the idea and just like, oh, I could do this, or if you make the backup character, swap them out. Your character doesn't always have to die for them to leave the story.
Yeah, that's fair. Talk to your DM though.
Yeah. Don't just make it happen. Just be like, goodbye.
DM's like,
what?
Wait, what?
Why?
Yeah. So they realize whatever, they gone. The guy's gone. They try to get out, but before they get out, Elabar, the knowledge guy, who by the way sold his soul to Cthulhu earlier in the campaign. Don't worry about it.
What?
It's fine. No,
I didn't know that.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I didn't touch on that earlier, but that's a very important plot point.
Yo.
No, because Cthulhu's the god of knowledge, right?
Oh,
and you guys don't know why he seeks knowledge, but he does seek knowledge.
Elabar?
Elabar. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That totally flew over my head.
Oh no, yeah.
He was really good at hiding that.
Yeah. So well, okay. Again, spoilers for the other people, but like,
Yeah.
whatever. Again, hey, this is why my players should watch this because they might learn something too.
Yeah. At an hour and 6 minutes.
Well, whatever. Put it on 2 times speed. I don't care.
Yeah, that's big brain.
Yeah, big brain. Moving on though to try to get done before too long. Basically, they realize that the plan is to open a portal to the plane of water, and release the Kraken. So basically, they know that this is gonna happen. They know that there's this convergence of these 2 portals. They do not figure out how to close it because they're like level 8.
I think at this point we're still level 8.
Yeah, I think level 8 at this point. I think I gave him 2 levels after that last encounter because it was just so crazy.
A lot happened, and that was also the first person to die.
Oh, and if you're wondering what happened with the Balor, they basically looked at Zeta, the Aarakocra, and said, I owe you nothing. I'm a demon, not a devil. I don't make deals. Peace.
And then Zeta was just standing there.
Yeah, so he's out in the world somewhere. They basically... Yeah, they go back up to Clearwater Wharf. They realize that this is going to happen. So they talk to the captain again and ask him if he's willing to fight a Kraken. Of course, he's like, heck yeah, I am.
A beast that comes with a storm?
Storm beast. So yeah, this is where in the last video I talked about a party of mid-level players killing a Kraken. Yeah, this is when that happened. So spoilers, the Kraken dies.
But it wasn't easy per se.
No.
We had a feeling that it was either going to retreat due to low health or it would die. We didn't feel like we were too pushed up against the wall, but there were consequences to that fight.
Yeah, there were. It wasn't like a stock Kraken, like a stock D&D Kraken. I did take away most of its intelligence. It was just like a beast form of Kraken. Instead of like most D&D Krakens are a lot like dragons, where they think they're gods and they are incredibly intelligent. This one wasn't. So, they get into a sea battle with this Kraken. It starts, I ran it a lot like the Pirates of the Caribbean Kraken fight with like the 6 tentacles that came up, and they had to fight off the tentacles, and then the Kraken itself came up, and it was incredibly intense. Phineas, the loving and caring old man who's been like teaching the party this whole time and giving them. He's also very grumpy sometimes, but like, hey, get off my lawn.
Grumpy old man.
Yeah.
Who's also grandpa.
Grandpa.
There we go. That's a good way to think of him if you haven't come up with a way yet.
Well, he was
Grandpa.
he was swallowed by the Kraken.
Yeah.
And everyone started freaking out because he was taking so much damage every round. And then Jacob Armont, the snooty guy, also got thrown in. He tried to get out though, and the way he tried to get out is he saw Phineas's bubbling corpse.
Yeah.
And tried to climb. Oh yeah, Phineas dies.
Sad.
We'll get into the actual sad part of that later.
Yeah.
But he perishes in the stomach acid. Jacob tries to climb out. He is now forever scarred whenever he hears like the sizzling of like bacon.
I didn't think of that.
No, whenever or like acid in general, like he flips out.
Ooh.
So yeah. So basically, Zeta goes all protagonist. You can tell this part of it.
Oh yeah, I like this. So this also has to do with another homebrew step, which is if on the wild magic table, if a number is rolled, that number is now replaced because originality, stuff like that. But anyway, what happened was Zeta finally just got to a level where he could do animate object. Is that it? Is that the spell?
Yeah.
Animate object, and he got a wild magic, which I believe ignited everything within a small radius of him on fire. And the way he animated his that sounded weird. The way he did animate object was the Zeta the Arakakra would like spread out his wings and 10 feathers would fly off, and then they would just kind of like Yondu arrow in multiple directions. I've made a lot of Marvel.
I mean, it's fine.
It's popular.
It's relatable.
But anyway, he set all of those on fire. So then he just started like to fly, and he had this ball of fire, and he was going full protagonist for the first time, and it was intense.
Imagine if you've seen Ender's Game, that kind of drill that they formed with the ships to like pierce into the swarm. That's basically what he did. He just ripped through the Kraken and grabbed Jacob Armont.
Yeah.
And it was dope. The Kraken is dead. Only one character died. He's a CR-23. They're like level 8s.
Mm-hmm. Which is, again, why you should check out that balancing. What do you call it?
Yeah, how to challenge your characters in a new way.
Because that actually, out of all the videos, that one is actually like the most sparking. I did attempt a DM once, and everything I did to try and make something harder was give it more health. It just makes the fight longer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, so basically they kill the Kraken, but then Zeta notices a small shadowy something slip off. It's later identified as an aboleth, which it will come up later too. Everything's gonna come together, believe me, I've plans. It's all coming together. So yeah, they go forward and they kill the Kraken. They kind of take the next days to actually repair the town, because when the portal to the water plane opened up, it actually flooded the ocean and made like a tsunami.
Giant tidal wave.
Yeah,
big water.
And physically that makes it makes sense, because in the plane of water, it's an infinite water plane, right? So it was actually much lower in the water plane, the portal was, than like right next to the surface in the material plane. So all the pressure difference caused the water to surge into the material plane.
Push. Yeah. And also out-popped the Kraken. It was like a baby.
Yeah. So, they are attempting to repair the town. The way they do that is Kraken meat is actually a delicacy. It's actually extremely rare.
Mm-hmm.
So they help the fishing town basically sell this Kraken and dice it up and all that.
Yeah.
After all that, there's some political whatever. After the mayor just leaves.
He's like, well, good luck with this broken city. And then he's gone. We're left with, I think it's 2 sessions back to back. They're like political sessions.
Yeah.
Like, okay, who needs to be the new mayor? How are we going to distribute this Kraken meat? After, I believe at this point, the backup character for Raphael and the backup character for Phineas are introduced in this time.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a good time to...
Backup character for Phineas, sadly, he won't be able to play Wonderwall anymore.
Oh.
Because it's copyrighted.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so I can't actually have him play that.
So what about Thunderwall?
Just shush. Yeah, so Wonderwall We got more water sounds. Awesome. Fantastic.
Stay hydrated or you will be dehydrated.
Yeah, drink water, kids.
And adults.
And adults. Yeah, water is for everyone. Good marketing.
We are not sponsored by water.
You know what? Hashtag sponsored. We are sponsored by water.
Oh, fantastic.
Get some water today.
Get some water.
Anyway, so there is basically this little kid, dwarf, who's a bard, and he just plays Wonderwall and kills things. It's fantastic. But then, like, the most iconic character is Raphael's backup character, who is Leonidas. He is a god. He is a Leonin paladin who thinks that he is a god. He doesn't actually like worship a god. He just thinks
he's a god.
Just thinks
he believes in himself a lot.
Yeah, but like way too much, and he really likes beer.
Yes. Oh shoot, I'm trying to think of a great example to let everyone know what Leonidas is like.
Oh, Raphael's death. So they ended up. Yeah, they ended up killing. They didn't kill Raphael. They cremated his what was left of him, right? Because they figured that Raphael hadn't had many experiences like around the world, so they wanted to take him with them. So it was nice, and of course the character wanted to help cremate his own character. So it was right before this, yeah.
Yeah, it was right before. When he washed up.
Yeah, when he washed up on the shore, the whole party's like, no, he's dead, because they didn't know he was dead until now. Oh no, he's dead. And then Leonidas comes up and says, "Why did this lizard try to swim? He cannot."
Like, who is this lizard? Why did he try to swim? He cannot. He died.
Yeah, he cannot swim. Why did he try?
Yeah, that was it. I believe that was the last. That's kind of like every other sentence there. Otherwise, most of the time it's, "I will share my glory and my honorable ways, spread through laughs and beer." How are you gonna spread that through beer?
Beer spread. Yeah. He's gonna have a full like marmalade section of beer spread someday. No, so basically, two new characters. They decide that they're gonna help rebuild the city. Well, Marilyn suddenly gets like a call to like leave, and Jack's like freaking out because like Jack and her
Jacob.
Oh,
we call him Jack too. No, yeah, the character's called Jacob Jack. But.
Yeah, Jacob Armand. Sorry, the prissy one.
Yes.
So basically, Marilyn was called away. They have a really cute dynamic going on, Jacob and Marilyn. Mm-hmm. And she was called away. When she came back the next day, though, she was just... Marilyn's usually, like, very, very, like, stuttery and kind of, you know, I'm not sure about this. She just cared so much about people. When she came back, she was like, "Yes, sir, I would love to do that." Like, super creepy. Think, there is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
like so much brainwashing happening. So he freaks out because he cares about her so much. They go back to the city. Well, sorry, to the city of Drangloria. They find a teleportation circle and they decide to go back that way. And of course, the city's under attack. But again, this time it's also undead. It's the same group, but it's just more organized this time. Mm-hmm. The city's like in ruins when they show up. The sky is overcast. There's undead everywhere. They have to wade through the hordes. They find Jacob Armand's brother, who is kind of struggling to defend the gates of his family home. They also find the other brother out in the fields, where they have to go and again just hordes of undead in the middle of the plain. Find him without.
It was yeah. Oh yeah, he was just missing an arm. He didn't seem to mind too much, but it wasn't there. Oh shoot, what am I thinking of? There was something else really, really exciting about that too. Oh, I think it was just getting a chance to fight a horde of zombies.
Oh yeah, like
there's a lot of them, which made that interesting, but they were all low CR, low AC, so it was just very nice to.
Yeah. It definitely, it was the first encounter. Also, since they got back, everything they had fought since level like 5 has been way above their level. But now they were like level 9, so they go back and they fight a horde of zombies and they just destroy them.
Mm-hmm. It was nice. nice.
And it just felt cool to be like, oh, time skip. This is an anime. They can just tear through hordes.
We can do that.
Yeah. So they basically realize, after meeting a couple other NPCs, they realize that there are 20 liches.
That's right.
There are 20 liches who are all working together to control the undead and blot out the sky. They get together with some of the other captains, who, again, the captains are just insanely powerful. And they get together, and each of them take on a few liches, each of the captains, and then the party is tasked with taking on one.
That's a good way to put it in perspective, how powerful all these captains are.
Yeah, and at this point, they're like level 9 or 10. So, like,
Yeah.
these captains are insane.
There's a group of us taking on one lich. We are having trouble.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a CR21. I don't worry, I didn't throw him a level, like a CR21 lich. I threw him a lich with like half the health and maximum of 7th level spells. So, no power word kill.
But there's also a reason for that.
Yeah, and there is a reason for that. I don't think you know it yet.
I think we kind of found out. It had something to do with the fact that there was an original lich. That wasn't it.
Yeah. So when they killed the liches, they noticed that the bodies just kind of wisped away. Certain bodies wisped away faster on certain liches. Certain ones stuck around for a long time. But they did end up killing the one, and it was... This time the cleric almost died. Like,
That was scary.
yeah, no, it was super scary. Because it was like super sudden too. It was like, used Finger of Death, and she almost failed her save, and then there was like, boom, Bardic Inspiration, boom, you have advantage.
Yep, all that.
Yeah, like they...
She still almost failed, and I believe there's no death saves after that, just immediately a zombie.
Yeah, no. You're Finger of Death. You're just a zombie now. So, no, but that didn't happen, luckily. They're good. After that, they managed to kill enough of the liches. They didn't kill all of them. They killed enough of them that they couldn't both control the undead and keep the sky overcast. So they had to retreat. They spent a long time looking for survivors, rebuilding, all that. But then Jacob was really antsy to, fix Marilyn. Because that hasn't happened yet. So they actually leave Marilyn behind.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
that is pretty sad.
heartbreaking, because Jacob took her everywhere. Like, literally, they were never more than like 10 feet apart.
Yeah, and now that she's like this blank robot, like, she would, without a doubt, she would just help anyone who looked like they were hurt. In this situation, there were lots of civilians who were bleeding out in lots of pain, and she was just standing there with a smile, I think. And she looked at Jacob and she's like, "Is there anything I can do, sir?" And
He's like,
and we were all technically not there. We also, I believe, all rolled low perception on Marilyn earlier.
Yeah, so
we
no
were
one
just
knew
like,
anything
oh,
was
wow,
wrong.
she's doing a better job at her job. But Jacob and the players' hearts were breaking.
Yeah, again,
It's like there's something so wrong
like I
with
said,
her.
everyone loves Marilyn.
Yeah.
So basically, they get a hint. Oh, I didn't talk about the butlers. There are all these butlers that look exactly the same all throughout, the different countries. In Phasian Desert, they even found one. All these butlers that look exactly the same and serve kind of these royal families. And they have some connection to Maryland that hadn't been discovered yet. Jacob then just like grabbed one by the neck and was like, "Tell me what's going on." And he was like, "Fine, go to Jethro." So he went to Jethro, which is the biggest like trade city.
This is Jethro.
This one's actually Jethro. Basically, it is the marketplace of this world. Imagine like the city of brass, but in the material plane. If you don't know what city of brass is, just look it up. It's in stuff.
Yes.
So basically, they go there. They get into this whole investigation. I'm not going to go super in depth about because of time. I'm sure this video is getting very long.
Yeah.
So they get into this massive investigation and eventually find what his name is Jeeves, right? Jeeves.
Yeah. In my mind, I always think of the name, and I think two things when I hear the name. It was Jeeves?
Yeah.
I think two things when I hear the name Jeeves. I think of a beholder. I
Beholder?
I don't know. I can't. I don't know. I don't know why.
Beholder, bring me my cup of coffee, please.
A beholder, and then the other thing I think of is like Fairly Odd Parents.
Really?
I don't. Jeeves is just not an intimidating name, but it could match something intimidating, which is why I think of the beholder.
Yeah, Jeeves is to me is like your stereotypical butler name, right?
Yeah.
So basically, he looks exactly the same as the other butlers, but just more. He's just bigger. He's balder. Like he's just the same.
Got glasses.
Oh, he has glasses. That's important.
He wears glasses for personality reasons compared to the rest of them.
I mean,
that was a joke, but
I mean that is a design choice. That's kind of why I did that. It does differentiate him because all the rest of them are like perfect in every way, but he has glasses. So
it's like a little different enough to the point where he looks like he's actually been doing this job a long time versus the other guys is like their first week.
yeah. So they find Jeeves, and Jeeves is being like really sus, definitely the imposter sus, and
Good reference.
thanks. As they all try to like dive into like what's going on and like what's going on, blah 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 blah. Eventually, Jeeves gives Jacob Armont a note. It just says, "Read this, and you'll know all your answers." And he's like, "Okay," and he reads it to this homeless guy.
Yeah, it's kind of like the situation earlier with the tournament. Like, hey, I'll give you money if you let me do this. Finds an old man out on the street of this giant trade city. Obviously, there's somebody here with like.
Dude, he might have been someone's Uncle Iroh.
Maybe, yeah. But like, he went up to this old guy. He's like, "Hey, I'll give you 10 gold if you come with me and listen to some poetry." And he's like, "Ooh,
A gold? What is gold? I've never held it before.
exactly." But,
And
then this happens.
yeah, he's just sitting there as Jacob starts to read through an eldritch script, and the guy starts to disintegrate. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Into nothing.
Yep, as he's sitting at this like pub, he's like just reading to him. There's a bartender scrubbing his glasses, probably some guy off playing the honky tonk, and an old man turning to ash in a booth.
Yeah, so basically, the idea here is that the spell scroll that was given to Jacob was a kind of take on like sacrificing someone else's life to gain a longer life yourself, kind of to gain immortality, kind of an idea.
Because I believe you did kind of mention something going on at the table, like he turned to dust and then he gained like 20 temporary hit points.
No, he gained like 60 temporary hit points.
Okay, oh yeah,
He
a
gained
lot more.
A lot. But then as soon as that happened, boom, Butler comes through the door and starts just smashing this guy. Wave the open hand, just like crushing into Jacob.
The crap out of
Yeah.
him. Like, I didn't mean to.
And then at that point, suddenly everything faded to black, and he saw only a room with Jeeves and a desk. As Jeeves just gave him a contract and just said, "Your life or your freedom? How shall you pay?" And he ripped it in half. So then he just went back to being pummeled by this dude. They ended up beating the one butler, but there's so many of them. There were like 20 that showed up.
We all were able to. We were very close to the building. Some of us were on different floors of this pub. Some of us were outside, but just barely. And we heard this loud bang, and we had just saw Jacob walk in there. So we all rushed in. We all do our best to take care of this butler. I believe someone almost gets way of the open-handed in terms of.
Yeah, no. So Jacob actually got the way of the open hand effect, but he succeeded his save. So he only took 10d10 necrotic damage.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
That's fine.
it's fine.
That's fine.
It's nothing. Yeah. So anyway, after they take out the one butler, basically, Jacob says, "I'll talk to you. If you spare my friends, I'll talk to you." And then he ends up wanting to sign a contract, basically saying, "I will sign my soul to you if you release Marilyn from her contract." And him being the person that will explain what his deal is later. Him being the guy that he is super intrigued by this kind of cycle of suffering of Marilyn and Jacob sacrificing for each other constantly.
Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Yeah, no, actually. Yeah, so
literally for the soul stone too. Like,
Yeah.
they're literally trading their souls.
So he teleports back to the players and gets to say his last few words. He starts like giving them all of this stuff.
And just starts like, hey, here's this, here's this, here's this.
Tell Marilyn I have no regrets.
Tell my father, who was a royal, who did not see much in Jacob because he was one of 3 sons who did not possess magic. So we treated him kind of like the outcasts of the sons.
Yeah, because I mean, one was a war cleric and the other was a paladin. Like they were incredibly powerful.
And he just amounted to being an archer.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said like, tell my father that I do love him, and my brothers that I forgive them, and that the commoners, the commoners referring to everyone in the party, because none of us were royal.
Yeah.
I think Cloud was like fancy, but no one else was royal. No one else was noble. So he's like, make sure you tell them that the commoners were my friends. And then we just all
Then a door opens in space behind him.
yeah.
And a black portal opens with red swirls, 2 rectangles being Jeeves glasses, and a devilish smile. As he is ripped into the portal, they try to stop it. It doesn't work.
Cloud attempts to like hold on to Jacob for a second, and immediately is sent back through the wall, taking 60 like bludgeoning, like no, just flat out.
Yeah, like 60 bludgeoning damage. He's like thrown through the wall behind him. Leonidas manages to stand his ground a little bit better, but even he loses out. Leonidas is the Leonin paladin we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
So Jacob is gone. Everyone is just shocked because none of them know what just happened as far as the deal or anything. That was all on different.
We all just saw Jacob get like beat up by a fancy man, and then boom, rectangle. He's gone.
he is gone. So some other character, like really important character stuff happened. The Leonidas can no longer use his paladin powers as of now.
Because the reason he got all his power was the faith he had in himself.
Faith he had in himself was strong enough to actually give him the powers,
but since he just like he didn't, I mean, he obviously just witnessed it. He couldn't save his friend.
It was his first time that he just like flat out failed.
How could he believe in himself?
Yeah. So there was a whole emotional scene. That all happens. Marilyn ends up showing up. They end up getting some exposition, and okay, you all are gonna freaking roll your eyes at this, but Jeeves is actually an unconscious avatar of Asmodeus, who is basically Satan.
Yeah, if you don't know who Asmodeus is, just think like...
Welcome to D&D, first off. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for listening to this entire video.
Yeah.
And, you know what? I feel like if they listen to this entire video, they would either know who it is or know to look up Asmodeus. Big person.
Yeah, no, he's basically Satan. He makes deals with mortals and whatever. He's a devil, which means he's lawful evil instead of chaotic like a demon. So...
It doesn't make him any better of a person. It makes... If anything, he's actually more evil than most chaotic things, because they're like evil for the sake of like destroying stuff, but he's evil for the sake of
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the sake of like order and like, ooh, I can just do this and this, and it'll like work together.
Yeah. So that happened. They're still extremely fresh from that. We're extremely close to where we left off. So he is an avatar of Asmodeus. They have no idea how to deal with that, and I love throwing stuff like that at the party. Like, what do you do against an avatar of freaking Satan? So what they decided to do is they hadn't actually gotten paid from either the Kraken or saving the city.
Correct.
So they had just a pile of like 120,000 gold of payout because they hadn't gotten paid since like level 5. So
there was nothing big at level 5, I believe, either. The biggest payment what was the biggest payment? I actually wasn't there.
I think the biggest payment was just Jacob Arment getting his allowance. Yeah. I think that was like the biggest money drop that you guys got before that.
Sweet.
Yeah, so basically there was this big shopping episode, everyone geared up. Fun fact, Leonidas actually wasn't there for either the Kraken or the Lich fight. Yet he got over a quarter of the gold.
That's true.
as where some of the other characters, like the cleric, was there for both and almost died, and she got no reward.
Zeta was the Kraken Slayer, and also was currently not there. That's because the characters who were there, it was a smaller group.
Yeah.
But they were the ones collecting everything, and they went shopping. So, you know what? Actually, to everyone else in the party, sorry that we kind of went shopping without you. We definitely are geared up.
Yeah. But I think that basically brings us up to present, actually.
Yeah, just about. I believe the plan as of next session is to either dive into this situation with Jacob Moore, because we believe he might not actually be dead. We believe he can be saved, and we want him back. We also, let's see, I'm trying to think of what else the next session will bring. What else were we trying to...
Well, the next session, yeah, you're looking at some conflict. I'm not going to spoil what happens, nor am I going to obviously railroad you into doing anything. It's really up to you.
But
guys.
yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you. I mean, if you want to just ignore this and come back to it at level 20.
It's not for the sake of me. It's for the sake of the listeners.
Yeah. Anyway, so basically, tune in next week to see what happens next in Jacob's Plotline. Thank you so much for watching the show with no camera and even less quality content. Woohoo! Yeah, hope you guys tune in next week for an actual live game. This is basically just the recap to get you all caught up. So, yeah, want to plug your stuff one more time?
Might as well. Nothing big, but it put like I'm not getting like sponsored. Nothing's really coming out of it, but it makes me really happy whenever I see a like, follow, or even a comment on the content that I'm also trying to do. Same, I believe, would go for you.
Oh yeah, you should subscribe. You'd be awesome if you subscribe to the channel. Okay, that's all.
This is not an ASMR. We're not ending this. We're not ending this with an ASMR.
No, but seriously, if you subscribe or like or comment, tell us if you enjoyed the story, and tell us if you like the podcast. That's awesome. So, more than anything, most importantly, stay nerdy. Have a great day.